Hi everyone, my name is Jenny Tollison. In this presentation, I am going to discuss my methodological perspective in terms of ontology, epistemology, and methodology, and how it impacts my role as a researcher and a scholar in training. My ontological perspective is critical realism. According to the Sage Encyclopedia of Qualitative Research, critical realism states that reality exists independently of humans while also recognizing that scientific inquiry is fallible. Critical realism also acknowledges the social nature of knowledge development. The key theorist is Roy Buskar. Critical realism has an explanatory focus and seeks to explain outcomes, patterns, or trends in data. It seeks to create a strong conceptualization of the phenomena being studied, which leads to a rigorous explanation. And it seeks to reconcile the agency and structural factors under study. For example, in education, we look at grades as an indicator of student success. So we look for trends in passing or failing grades. Then we look deeper at factors that are contributing to passing or failing grades. My epistemological perspective. I have chosen these approaches impact my overall approach to qualitative research because the way I construct my own meaning influences how I perceive others' perceptions of their constructions. Specifically, I value objective knowledge, and yet I acknowledge that there are many solutions in any given situation. As long as I understand the rationale, I am open to outcome. When others fail to provide a logical, as I perceive logic, rationale, I may get bogged down in the details. I see that I will need to increase my interviewing skills and general communication skills in order to weed out bias and to prevent getting off track during my research. Additionally, I know that knowledge is limited to the time and place, meaning that socially, culturally, and scientifically we are always growing, changing, and evolving. This approach influences my approach to learning as a doctoral student because I constantly question how my peers come to know what they know. Have they studied it? Is it their opinion? I also question the structure of the courses and how professors know that a particular assignment will help me to learn the concept that they intend for it to, and if the way learning is measured is in fact a true measurement of what I as a student have learned. Without knowing the answers to these questions, I must trust the process and construct meaning. Meaning that while varied, I know my peers have learned through their life experiences and education in a similar way as I have. I also know that my professors have experience teaching and are constantly improving assignments to increase or improve learning outcomes. So while it is impossible to prove that this assignment, for example, will have the intended outcome, I too must take responsibility for the outcome and know what I am expected to learn and help in the process to achieve the intended outcome. Since I am always on a journey of growing and learning, I will continue my quest to refine my approach to theory and my methodological paradigm. As I'm sure was the case for most doctoral students, the vocabulary one must acquire to discuss these countless theories and methodologies are immense. Some words are used interchangeably. Some theories have myriad theories. Honestly, I have not read them all. When I search to find out more about one, I find endless tangents that are related yet not what I am looking for. I expect that I will continue to refine my understanding of these theories and become more settled, but I am not sure because of the nature of human and scientific fallibility and the ever evolving nature of life that I will ever absolutely settle on one forever, and I think that my methodology leaves room for this belief. Theory must evolve, as people do. Sensual Qualitative Research, or CQR, as the methodology that works with my chosen ontology and epistemology. It relies on mutual respect, equal involvement, and shared power. The researcher and participants mutually influence each other through questions and probes that the researcher facilitates. The major tenets of CQR include the use of open-ended questions and semi-structured data collection methods, using a research team to analyze the data and arrive at a consensus, the use of at least one auditor to cross-check the data, and cross-analyzing the data for domains and core themes. According to Hill et al., CQR is in the middle of constructivist and post-positivist approaches. CQR is predominantly constructivist, which has many similar components to constructionism, with some post-positivist elements. Constructionism and constructivism both propose that humans build their own cognitive and external realities and that knowledge builds upon previous knowledge. The interviewer's role is to uncover what the participant truly believes, rather than as someone who deeply engages with the participant to co-construct meaning. Therefore, there is a standard protocol across participants in order to consistently solicit information. Interviewers must be aware of and report their own biases and understand how these biases influence one's analysis of data. Perspective is social constructionism. This focuses on how individuals learn or the manner in which they learn through different forms of media and different contexts. It also focuses on a social aspect where meaning is constructed together with people. There are many theorists who contributed to and laid the foundation for social constructionism. Some of them date back 300 years ago, with Giambattista Vico to the work of Jean Piaget in constructivism and Lev Vygotsky's social learning theory. Seymour Papert founded what is presently known as social constructionism. He is also credited with founding the idea of project-based learning, and this operates on the principles of social constructionism, where learning is situated in contexts that one must dive into in order to gain understanding. I have included 4 of the main characteristics of social constructionism. First, it is concerned with meaning and understanding of human activities. This is based in language, and the back and forth of communication helps individuals to refine meaning. Secondly, meaning and understanding have their beginnings in social interaction and creating a shared meaning. Thirdly, meaning making is embedded in socio-cultural processes and are specific to particular times and places. An example that immediately comes to mind is corporal punishment as a main parenting practice. Sparing the rod in Christian biblical times was once the only type of respected discipline for child rearing. Yet today, this method is frowned upon in many educational settings and by many psychologists, counselors, and authors of self-help parenting books. Positive parenting strategies that are logical versus punitive are the new norm. Fourth, there are no predefined entities that objective realists can uncover. Individuals mold their own forms of reality. However, this approach also acknowledges that humans have certain propensities, but it focuses more on how individual experiences and perceptions of those experiences vary across time and space. Critical realism and social constructionism can be friends. This is because critical realism leaves room for the socially embedded and fallible nature of scientific inquiry. If we take the example from Locke and Strong of the clay, social constructionism would say that the clay has no inherent shape for the potter to uncover. It could be a cup or a plate or a vase, etc. I do not think that critical realism would disagree. However, I think that critical realism would take a different focus. What are the physical and chemical properties of the clay that increase its plasticity, hardness, or capacity to be decorated or molded? Or what about the potter? What are the artistic abilities of the potter, and how likely is it for him or her to create the object that he or she sets out to create? Through the lens of critical realism and constructionism, I would agree that the potter could create anything, but that may be unlikely depending on his or her artistic ability and the quality of the clay. Within the grade level, we look and then we narrow our focus to look at the content. Then we narrow it even more to look at the individual teacher. And finally, we look at the history of individual student achievement. By doing this, we are conceptualizing the problem in order to explain the outcomes we are observing. We then try to change structural factors that are more likely to increase the agency, or in this case, student achievement. Critical realism also respects the importance of social meaning to humans, which I talk more about in the last characteristic, the three domains of reality: the actual, the real, and the empirical. The actual domain refers to events and outcomes that occur in the world. The real refers to underlying relations, structures, and tendencies that have the power to cause changes in the actual realm. The empirical dimension refers to human perspectives on the real and actual world, whether that be perspectives of an individual or scientific inquiry. The real and actual domains occur but are perceived by imperfect, fallible humans. Thus, while objective reality exists, it is not knowable with certainty.